Welcome to Conversations with Cox and Kielseth, and to be more specific, that is filmmaker Alex Cox and myself, film curator Pablo Kielseth. Alex will join us by phone from his home in Oregon, while I sneak away from my office to call him from one of the projection booths used by the International Film Series, which has been screening foreign and independent movies at CU Boulder since 1941. We will keep our chats to about 20 minutes as we discuss whatever movie-related topics grab our fancy. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, action.
Awesome, wonderful. Now I can officially start things off. I don't know if you heard that. That was me popping the cap off of a Parish Brewing Company coffee stout, which I would like to think is well-deserved, but it's been a bit of a disaster day because the IFS schedules didn't get delivered on time, and now they're telling me they might not arrive until Tuesday. So that's a bummer.
Very annoying.
Yeah.
Lose the weekend.
Yeah, and I was also helping. Did you ever meet Sabrina, our latest colleague who's in Italy right now?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, she's been teaching some class. She's the one who taught the John Carpenter class, and she went back to Italy for a semester. So she sublet her apartment, and her subletters have been fighting like cats and dogs, and I got put in the middle. I was the monkey in the middle. So that's been exciting. But speaking of monkeys, I think we're going to try to hone down how we talk about movies per our last conversation. So I was suggesting that we hit, since we're trying to keep ourselves to a 25-minute conversation, that we would try to hit 5 movies. And I thought I'd shuffle these in chronological order. And as I was talking about being the monkey in the middle, it seems appropriate to jump into Sunset Boulevard by Billy Wilder, 1950.
You haven't asked me what beer I'm drinking.
I am so rude. Alex, what are you drinking, sir?
I am drinking a beer from the 10 Barrel Brewing Company in Bend, which is also in Oregon.
Yes.
And the name of that beer is Pearl IPA.
How is it?
It's very nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a strong IPA and it's very nice.
Good. So
anyway, okay. Sunset Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent film.
Yes, I agree. No, it's definitely one of my, probably one of my all-time favorites, although I think my all-time favorite list is probably 100 titles at this point. Yeah, I mean, to me, Sunset Boulevard is definitely also one of those movies that it really, it's got a magic to it, especially if you watch it in a darkened theater, and it really just it gives me goosebumps when I see it in a true big screen theater.
Yes, to see it on the big screen is wonderful.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to guess. I'm remembering one piece. I got 2 interesting tidbits, or for me, what were 2 of the more fascinating, trivia bits, was how the Desmond Mansion was not on Sunset Boulevard, but it was 641 South Irving Boulevard, and it was built in 1924 by William Jenkins, and its second owner was John Paul Getty, who purchased it for his second wife. And when Miss Getty divorced her millionaire husband and received custody of the house, it was she who rented it to Paramount for the filming. And the only thing that was added for the purpose of making the film, shooting Sunset Boulevard, was the swimming pool. And it wasn't equipped with circulating the water, so it was useless after filming it, and it didn't have any water. It was an empty pool. And so it was then used by Rebel Without a Cause in 1955. And anyway, it's just 2 very cinematic movies pivoting around a pool.
And where is Irving? Well, I'm trying to think where Irving Street is.
Irving Boulevard. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Irving
not familiar
Boulevard.
enough with LA the way you would be. So, yeah.
I can't think of it. Anyway, somewhere in LA.
The second tidbit that I thought was fun was that, and this I guess comes from the book On Sunset Boulevard, The Life and Times of Billy Wilder, by Ed Sikov. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly. But he gave a very amusing story about how in the mid-'90s, both Wilder and former First Lady Nancy Reagan were at a party for an opening of one of the productions of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical based on the film, when, with Reagan nearby, an older woman approached Wilder with a question about what the chimp scene meant. And Wilder's typically outrageous answer, I'm quoting here from the IMDb page, probably intended to shock the former First Lady as much as to inform the woman of the true meaning of the scene, was, quote, "Don't you understand? Before Joe Gillis came along, Norman Desmond was fucking the monkey." So, but what are some of your favorite parts of that movie, sir?
I like the whole thing. I mean, I like the casting of von Stroheim. I think that's quite wonderful.
Yeah.
I like that at the very beginning of the film, he's being chased by repo men. I think that's the first reference to repo men in a Hollywood movie, and it's only because he's being pursued because they want to get his car off him that he takes the wrong turn into the Norman Desmond estate.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
That was an interesting setup.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything more about it, or do you want to jump right over to the next one?
I think it's just a fine film. I think if anybody who's listening to this hasn't seen Sunset Boulevard, obviously they should.
Yes.
Because it's a great film in every regard.
And then, of course, after Sunset Boulevard was Ace in the Hole. That's 1951.
Indeed, another film by Billy Wilder, and this one also, I think, didn't he write this one as well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And produced it. So this is really a Billy Wilder experience, and a wonderful film, very cynical, even darker and more cynical than Sunset Boulevard.
Right, and it's
if possible.
It seems like it's still very relevant today, because it's about sort of the appetite for sensationalism, right, and for getting bigger ratings,
and for human interest stories.
Yeah, and human interest ratings,
endless focus on human interest stories, and this is, of course, this poor guy trapped in a mine, and Kirk Douglas is wonderful. He was one of the few Hollywood actors who seemed to be quite happy to play good guys or bad guys.
Right. And he was also a hell of a engine in terms of getting a lot of these projects off the ground. I think a lot of movies would not have been made without his, being a very staunch cheerleader for the projects. And I think this is one of those
Lonely
cases.
Are the Brave.
Yes, another great movie. Yeah. Now, with Ace in the Hole, I guess that one, when it was released, unlike Sunset Boulevard, this one was badly reviewed, and it lost money, and without Billy Wilder's permission, they changed the title to, The Big Carnival?
The Big Carnival.
Yeah. Which still didn't help push it along. So I guess it
doesn't make any difference, does it? It suggests it's something else other than what it is.
Yeah. That's a hell of a double feature, though, for anyone out there who has been asleep at the wheel. Sunset Boulevard and Ace in the Hole are definitely two classics, not to be missed. But speaking of things that sometimes you miss, and I'm afraid to say this.
But let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Suppose that you, as an exhibitor, wanted to screen that double bill. Is there any chance that you could get 35 prints of both films and screen them?
I have screened 35 print of Sunset Boulevard in the past, but that was I was lucky. It was earlier on. I was able to get prints from Warner Brothers without having to go through the sort of the middle, the Swank Motion Pictures, and for reasons that would be too boring for most people out there, that has gotten a lot more difficult. Well, in general, showing 35 millimeter prints has gotten a lot more difficult as people are less anxious or willing to part with
to risk parting with them.
Yeah. So it's getting a lot trickier. I think I would still be able to show Sunset Boulevard, but it would be, instead of going directly to Warner Brothers, I'd be going to Swank, and because Swank doesn't actually have or maintain the collection on their own grounds, they don't know what shape the prints are in, and so it's a bit of a crapshoot. Last time I rented a couple things from Swank, it was with 2001: A Space Odyssey. 3 years ago, the print was beautiful. It was like an A- print. And then, like a semester ago, the print was probably a C+ at best.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I have to confess something, Alex. I told you that I was going to try to see The Sweet Smell of Success, but I was not able to get to it. I had a TCM assignment pop up, and I had to watch The Man with the Golden Gun last night instead. But I will get to The Sweet Smell of Success. But for those out there who haven't seen it, such as myself, give us some highlights for that one.
It's a very good all-round film, also in black and white, like the previous two films mentioned. The script is originally by Ernest Leman and then got rewritten by Clifford Odets, and is very, very tight script about a very powerful gossip columnist, a sort of Walter Winchell type character, played by Burt Lancaster, and he's just wonderful in the role. And his henchman, or one of his many henchmen, is played by Tony Curtis. Sidney Korshak, who's this artist's manager who's just desperate to get his clients mentioned by J.J. Hunsaker, the Lancaster character. And the relationship between the two characters is great. The dialogue is fabulous. It's fast-paced. It's very noir. And it's directed by an English guy, Alexander McKendrick, or a Scotsman, I should say. I guess McKendrick's a Scotsman, who had previously done comedies.
What catches my eye, Alex, is that what I really would like, the reason I would love to see this is because I see that the cinematographer was James Wong Howe, who did one of my favorite films of all time, Frankenheimer's Seconds. And that was just,
another wonderful film, in black and white. Yeah, just a great film. Yeah.
So just for the cinematography alone, I would be. I'm definitely going to put that to the top of the list for films that I need to go check out.
It's a great looking film. It's very noir. It's very great American noir.
Now that was 1957, and then we jump almost 10 years into the future with Jean-Luc Godard's Alphaville from 1965. What are your memories?
Yeah, which is very low budget, tongue-in-cheek science fiction movie.
You know, something that's kind of funny about this one, I looked it up on IMDb, and it's the first time I've ever seen this, but on the trivia page, or the details page, it has the full transcript for the movie. The full transcript. Just thought that was something unusual. You don't normally see that. Yeah.
That's great. So you could actually post the entire script of the film on the details page if you wanted to.
Well, you share all your scripts on your websites, or do you still have your websites up and running?
The old website got so kind of decrepit, and because it was written in code that people don't really do websites in anymore, and everybody uses just online stuff now. So I just started doing it on. So anyway, if you go to my old website, you just get driven to my other, like my blog site.
And do you
so
still?
I don't know if you can still connect to the page that. Unless you got it bookmarked, I don't think you can still connect to the page that had the screenplays. Because they're still up there in the internet, but it might be harder to find them.
For a while though, you had even just like all the scripts for movies that you got commissioned to do but never got made, right? Like the
like the Che Guevara script,
right?
And maybe we put the Keith Moon script up there as well.
That's the one that I remember you talking about. What was the name of the Keith Moon script?
Keith Moon was here! Exclamation mark.
And Roger Daltrey was the one who commissioned that one, didn't he? He
was executive producer.
Yeah.
And he was looking to make a film about Keith Moon. I guess he was looking to make a film about the early days of The Who. So this was one of various films that he commissioned.
But he didn't pursue it. I guess didn't care for the way that...
well, we realized afterwards that, I mean, we had made the mistake of really making it about Keith Moon. But if you think about it, I mean, Roger Daltrey was executive producer, and really his character should have been to the forefront more than more
gotcha.
than we realized. I think in retrospect that would have been the way to. But we did what we thought was the most interesting story, and it was a good script.
Well, someday I'm going to have to read that one. Now, how do you feel about? I think this is going to be our last one before we get to our 25-minute deadline. But and this is again another for those who are just tuning in. We've been going over some of the films that were selected for the Moviedrome special that was put out by BBC that Alex hosted. And there's just a bunch of really cool, I guess the idea was that these are all cult films. And I guess for sure, 5 Easy Pieces, that's the last one for us. That's 1970 from Bob, is it Rafelson?
Bob Rafelson.
Rafelson, yes. Who also produced
Bob
Easy Rider.
Still alive, Rafelson, not dead yet.
Yeah, and he produced Easy Rider the year before, so you got that Jack Nicholson connection. And then he went on to direct King of Marvin Gardens and The Postman Always Rings Twice, the 1981 version. And of course, 5 Easy Pieces is known, famous for that Jack Nicholson request for, was it chicken salad or something that goes awry in the restaurant?
Yeah, it's the the new American cinema, or what they sometimes call the new Hollywood, isn't it? The films that got made in the late 60s and early 70s by a new generation of filmmakers.
Yeah, and that's I hope we see a return to that kind of filmmaking. Do you think there's a chance for that? Because right now it just seems like it's all Marvel universe comic book, sequel stuff. And I think the nice thing about those movies is that they had real humans down on their luck, facing real issues and depression and suicide, things like that. And it made for good cinema. It was moving. It was a good story. People did go to see it. So hopefully there's some resurgence. Have you seen anything lately that gives you a
well,
sense?
I think in a way we tend to kind of. I mean, I agree with you thematically. It's interesting that they have that in the late 60s and early 70s they made films with working class characters and addressed some of those themes that you mentioned. But also there was a sort of visual mundanity to a lot of those films. Not Easy Rider, but definitely not the last movie. But films like 5 Easy Pieces, there's a certain kind of TV movie visual aspect to them that I don't miss.
Uh-huh.
I think that sort of dramatic naturalism. It's kind of dull, and so in a way, I the stuff that had been going on a little earlier when Nick Roden, Donald Campbell made Performance, or when John Borman made Point Blank.
Yeah.
Films were a lot more interesting in terms, when Lindsay Anderson made If and Oh Lucky Man, those were films that had a kind of both a visual stylishness and an editing, and an editing energy that some of the new American cinema is a little bit staid and a little bit TV movie-ish by comparison. So that's my criticism.
I see what you're saying. Although it's interesting because then I think when you were still here in Boulder, didn't we screen? Was it Spielberg's very, very first movie that was originally?
That's a very good TV movie. The Duel.
The Duel. Yes.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And The Killers with Lee Marvin and Ronald Reagan is a good TV movie.
Now, what was the other car one that was actually shot in that section of Utah that you and I took a car trip through? Because I think
Vanishing Point.
No. Oh, well, that was part of the trip, but no, the Utah section I think was there was another car movie. It's escaping me. Maybe it was Duel. Can't remember, but. It'll come to me later.
I know Vanishing Point was shot. Oh well, I guess Vanishing Point was shot all over the place. So
I think it was just the car, wasn't it? Just 1977. A small desert town is terrorized by a possessed car.
Oh, okay.
And that one actually, that had scenes where that we pass by, definitely very scenic in Utah. If you'll remember those sketchy roads with high winds and
very nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we did it. We did it under 25 minutes. We wrapped up 5 titles.
Congratulations.
Oh, well, nice to check in with you, sir, and nice to hear that things are going well in the hut. You got any plans for the weekend? How's things on the house?
I think everything's okay up there. I think that Todd's up there with the other dogs, and I haven't heard anything, so I think probably everything's okay up there.
Nice.
Find out later.
Well,
hey, listen, thank you very much for another nice podcast, and say hi to Jason and everybody else there.
All right, we'll do. Say hi to Todd, and we'll talk later.
I will.
All right.
Will.
Ciao.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And cut. Okay, that's a wrap.
Thanks again for joining Alex Cox and myself today. I'd like to thank Jason Phelps for handling the audio and Ted Thacker for letting us use the intro to his song, The Ballad of Slim Cessna, for the musical cues that bookend these conversations. Don't forget to go out there and watch movies in a larger-than-home venue. It's what brings us all together to see movies the way they were meant to be seen, on the big screen as we sit next to strangers, neighbors, and friends.